Hey everyone! Today I would like to talk about the Frieda bed Thundereggs from Central Oregon. These come from the western bank of the Deschutes River, a couple miles south of the little rafting town of Maupin, Oregon. And they're really cool. You cannot collect these any longer because it is on Warm Springs Reservation land. The history of these is basically there was a mining outfit called Frieda and Dant, and they had a mining claim. I think it was mostly accessible by the railroad, and they were digging perlite for commercial purposes. But in the process, they discovered these really unique and rare Oregon Thundereggs. I'm sure many of you know that Thundereggs are the Oregon state rock. These just happen to be a really unique and interesting expression of an Oregon Thunderegg. These are sort of notorious for their green tube agate structures and just a really cool mix of fortification agate, waterline agate. A lot of times you'll also see calcite crystals suspended in the infill of these Thundereggs. And another thing I think is unique about these is the ratio of agate to rhyolite. A lot of Thundereggs you see will have a much lower ratio. The shell will be a lot thicker. So I don't know much about these, so I can't talk in depth, but here's a couple quick examples of Baker eggs from New Mexico. Very cool. I'm not talking badly about these, but you can sort of see what I mean. I would say this is slightly more typical. Lots of rhyolite with some agate, but not quite the same as these Frieda eggs. Another cool thing about Thundereggs and agates in general that the Friedas show really well, they tell sort of a story and a sequence of formation. This is one of my favorites. So take, for example, a piece like this. Here's an egg that's filled with just the tubes, and then the space between them is just hollow, vacant. So this is pretty lightweight. Sort of a next step in the history would be a piece more like this, where you have your tubes, but you also have this waterline infill starting. The cool thing about waterline agate is that it shows you which direction this egg was oriented relative to gravity when it was forming, right? Because these are pools of liquid. So, right, it tells you this plane of the waterline is perpendicular to the force of gravity, which is pretty cool. And then, as you go a little further, you may see one like this, where the tubes are there and the thing is almost completely filled in, but not quite. So it gives you sort of an interesting sequence of events in that regard. There you go, the Frieda eggs from Central Oregon. Here's one with a little calcite crystal right here behind the polished face. But yeah, I think the colors are really interesting. They're just beautiful. Very cool. Unique stuff from Central Oregon. Thanks for watching.